Let's hear what Steph's got. Let's see how these lists vary. Steph, the floor is yours, my man.
All right. I mean, like you said it earlier, this list can be interchangeable. It's just every week we go, every week it's going to be different depending on what happens situation wise. But the only thing that at the top of my list that's different is I have my boy Patrick Mahomes. I think, like you said, they are interchangeable. Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes are two of the future stars of the NFL. These guys are here now. They're here to win. They're going to be in the playoffs almost every year as long as Buffalo and Kansas City keep up what they're doing offseason wise. Mahomes is just that guy. I think he's a cerebral assassin. I think he's the guy who comes out with 13 seconds left like he did, and he can win you a game. I think Josh Allen still has some things to learn. When I watched that offense, it was like you either run with Josh Allen, pass with Josh Allen. You go through everything with Josh Allen. And as much as it did work, you can't sustain that much success running the ball with a quarterback taking that many hits. Josh Allen was a great fantasy quarterback, and I'm not taking anything from him. But I think Mahomes has the mind, he has the arm, he has the Andy Reid coach. Like, I think he's just set up to succeed for the next 5-6 years. He's got a tight end who is 32 years old. He's getting older, so eventually Kelsey won't be there. He's got Tyreek Hill, the cheetah, one of the fastest receivers. I just think that Mahomes over Allen right now makes more sense because we saw when Allen had the ball, he was electric. But when Mahomes had the ball, he knew how to win the game. He knew when it came time to that clutch 2-minute drive, when they needed that field goal to go to overtime, they needed that last drive to make sure Josh Allen didn't step foot on that field again. Patrick Mahomes made those plays. He made all the reads. He made all of that. So that's why right now I do have Mahomes over Josh Allen, and I'm pretty firm on that for now until I see Josh Allen take a step where they develop that run game with Zach Moss and Devin Singletary like they did going into the end of the season, into the playoffs, because Singletary did pick it up a little bit. He was basically dead and gone in the first half of the season. We were telling you every week on our fantasy show, drop Devin Singletary because they only run Josh Allen.
Yeah.
So those two go back and forth. They were really, really close. It wasn't an easy decision. I did want to put Josh Allen over Mahomes, but my heart told me Mahomes is just that guy. Now, where our list is gonna start to separate here a little bit. The 1 and 2 are always interchangeable. Well, I'll probably have him maybe 1 and have Mahomes 2 sometimes, but at my 3 spot, it's got to be Lamar Jackson. I love Justin Herbert. I love what he's done these last 2 years, but I do expect a little bit of a drop off, and I do expect Lamar Jackson to come back to MVP form. He was injured. He did have a slump season compared to what he always has, but at the end of the day, it's Lamar Jackson. Like, this guy is the reincarnation of Michael Vick. I mean, if he does get Antonio Brown, hey, Godspeed, God help you guys. I hope you make this guy happy. I hope you give him what he wants, because if not, then we'll see Antonio Brown pulling a Buccaneers shindig on the Jets touchdown field. So I just think that Lamar Jackson, he had a subpar year. He was, 16 of 13 when it came to touchdowns. He had a 64% completion rating. So, like, he wasn't, like, shooting through the roof MVP numbers, but I think if he comes back, J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards, all these players that they lost, all these injuries that just hampered the season, yet they still almost made the playoffs. He had that ankle injury at the end of the season, which it always catches up when you're running quarterback, which is my biggest fear on any running quarterback. But I think this guy is a stud. I think Lamar Jackson is that guy. He's close to number 2, but Josh Allen is just more of a gunslinger. If Lamar Jackson can develop more of that deep ball, if Marquise Brown doesn't retire to go play video games 24/7, if his boy Rashad Bateman can, if they can get him the ball early, nice and quick, they give Mark Andrews that second half run by Mark Andrews was nothing short of phenomenal. Like, he won you leagues, he won them games, but at the end of the day, Harbaugh was making some questionable decisions that ended up losing them 2 games. That's neither here or there, but Lamar Jackson to me is still the 3rd best quarterback because of what he does on the field with his legs. He's versatile. He's a good passer, but he could always be better. But see, now when I go to number 4, it's almost the complete opposite of what Lamar is and what Justin Herbert is. Justin Herbert is a gunslinger. This guy is known to light it up on the field. He's been phenomenal these last 2 seasons. I've never seen a quarterback, I think, come out and just take the league by its, and just say, watch me throw this ball and watch me become that guy. So I'm looking at Herbert. I want to put him at 3, but Lamar Jackson's run ability doesn't make me do that. But if Herbert comes out this year again, he balls out, he goes, hey, listen, I'm legit, I'm the real deal, I can rank him higher than Lamar Jackson depending what goes on. So Herbert and Lamar Jackson, just like Josh Allen and Mahomes, they're kind of interchangeable right now. I'll put one or the other if I'm how I'm feeling. But the one guy that I had to put at 5 was Joe Shiesty, the guy who almost came back, like Swagger himself. But God, man, like Cincinnati, you're not watching this stream, but you better listen to the Twitter fans. You guys need an offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Burrow did what he did, and like you said, that's that. In the clean pocket, he was a number 1 quarterback. Like, come on, look at the stats, look at the numbers. Yep. He is a baller. You have 3 receivers: Higgins, Boyd, Chase. They're all great receivers on any other team. Joe Mixon, you have Uzama, you have Sample, you have such a deep team. All you're missing is protection.
Yep.
And if you have protection in that Super Bowl, who knows? You probably win that game by a touchdown or 3 points, or that 4th and 1 doesn't happen where Samaje, or 3rd and 1 where Samaje gets, taken back, or Joe Burrow in 4th down, the game on the line is just sacked. Like it just doesn't happen if you have a decent offensive line. And that's in that Super Bowl, the Rams won 82% of their rush against that offensive line. That was one of the most mind-blowing stats. 18% win rate for the offensive line. You have the money, you have the draft capital. Go protect your future all-star quarterback.
Yep.
Now, when we say, now I said future, but we don't know what's going to happen with this man's future yet. Is he going to be a Saint? Is he going to be a Denver Bronco? Is he going to be I don't know who he's going to be. No one knows. Packers want to give him that $100 million contract over 2 years. They want him to come back. But that's all smoke. I mean, come on. We say we want this. We say you want that. Like, we don't know what's going to happen. But what I do know is this is your MVP. This is the league MVP. And being at 6, it's strictly because of situation. It's strictly because I think these other guys are just that much better because they're a little bit younger, so they still have that like zest in them. But Aaron Rodgers is a bad man, to quote Stephen A. This guy, I see players like Brady, Manning, smart quarterbacks that make plays, that know how to pick apart defenses. But when it comes to IQ, when it comes to like being an actual genius, I think Aaron Rodgers is that guy. I mean, you can pick apart his throws, but when he needs to make a play that needs to get a first down on 3rd and 1, like against the Bears, I saw him just float a beautiful pass to Devontae Adams on Sunday night a few months ago. I'm looking at these plays. I'm like, this is the only guy that can make a play that will be perfect for his receiver to catch it, first down, kill 10 minutes off that clock. Like, not every quarterback can go on the field and kill 8-9 minutes off a quarter. That's insane. So Aaron Rodgers would be higher, but until I know where he's going to land and I can situate what happens with the Packers offseason, he's probably going to stay at 6. Dak Prescott now, I kind of wanted him at 8 or 9, but Dak Prescott is Dak Prescott. He's got 3 guys in Gallup who could be gone. They could re-sign him. They have CeeDee Lamb, who is a young stud. They've got Amari Cooper, who just seems to never age. He's been like 23 for like 5 years now. And with that being said, Dak Prescott is developing into a better passer. He still has his issues, which is why I rank him at 7, but he's still a game winner. He's a guy. He's that guy for Dallas. He's got the great offensive line, the highest paid running back in the league going into this year. He's got Tony Pollard. So he's got weapons galore. It's just a matter of he has to stop turning the ball over. He has to make smarter plays than he's been making, because some of his plays are questionable. Some of them I'm like, what are you doing? What are you making that pass for? But the next guy on the list didn't have, the best offensive season. I mean, he did have I think total of 21 total interceptions throughout the entire season, playoffs included. Matt Stafford, he didn't win a Super Bowl. He did. 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. I'm not taking none of that away, but to crack the top 5, Stafford to me is not going to be there yet because all these other guys have the run ability. I don't know what's going on with OBJ. I mean, he's going to be there. I think he wants to be in LA, but Stafford for me can fluctuate between 7, 8, or 6. So it's not like he's 8 because I think, he's not better than those guys. I just think I got to see what happens in the offseason. It'll always go higher. It'll always go lower. But Matthew Stafford really, really proved a lot of people wrong. If you just got to keep those interceptions down, 17 in the regular season, that's kind of a lot. I mean, you cost a lot of games on that. 17 interceptions was, I think, 3rd or 4th most in the league last year, if I'm just eyeballing it. So Stafford, I'm keeping him fringe top 10. I don't want to put him in the top 5. And another guy that I had in the top 5, but I looked, and like you said, clear as day, he started out amazing. But second half of the season, he got hurt against the Packers on that Thursday night. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with Kyler Murray. I see him on the run 24/7. I don't know who has a worse offensive line. Is it Joe Burrow, or is it Kyler Murray? Who has the worse offensive line? both teams, if they had a good offensive line, would be in better positions. But for the sake of that, Kyler Murray also turns the ball over a lot. It looks like he's always scampering or scattering or just trying to make like some Superman play. It's kind of rubbing me the wrong way. Russell Wilson, I think. Did you have him at 10 as well?
Yes, I had Russ at 10. Yeah,
I think you hit the hammer on the head with that one, or the nail, whatever the metaphor is. But I think you hit it right on the dot. Russell Wilson is a baller. He's a stud. He has a great deep ball. But him and DK Metcalf had one of the most. I think it's embarrassing because DK Metcalf is a freak of nature. This guy is a massive receiver. He should be getting at least 12, 13 touchdowns a season alongside of your shorter, stockier receiver in Tyler Lockett. If he ends up on a different team, I'm going to rank him higher. If he goes to Philadelphia, I'll put him higher. Anywhere but Seattle right now, he's going to go higher. I just don't think that Russell Wilson in Seattle is going to be the Russell Wilson of 2017 or the Russell Wilson of 2014. Like that guy. I think he's kind of a shell of himself because if I'm Russell Wilson, I'm looking around like, God, it's kind of like nothing. I don't have really a good defense. My offensive line is kind of suspect. I've got a revolving door at running back. If I'm Russell Wilson, I'm kind of trying to get out of Seattle and just try to restart my whole situation. Look at Matthew Stafford. He had great seasons in Detroit, but the second he leaves Detroit, goes to a team that knows what they want to do, he balled. He won a Super Bowl. He beat Tom Brady. He beat the 49ers after going 0-6. Like, this guy proved so many people wrong. And I think Russell Wilson, it's time for a scene change. And I think if he goes somewhere else, he's higher. If he doesn't, he might even go lower. But he won't be lower than Jalen Hurts. I mean, Jalen Hurts, he's good. He runs. He's there. He's like Houdini, you know. He's just everywhere. But he doesn't have that pass ability, like you said. He's over here like, oh, I can run for 50 yards, but throw for 100 yards and 1 touchdown, and we could have a 25-point fantasy game. The king of garbage time. That's what Jalen Hurts was. And to be honest, I had a disappointing season with his rookie receivers, Devonta Smith. I just think that Jalen Hurts is the guy for now, but might not be the guy for the future. So like we said, if you're Russell Wilson or you're the Eagles, you want Russell Wilson, ship Jalen Hurts, ship a first-round pick and something else for him. Because if you get Russell Wilson on that team, it's a whole different ball game than what you had with Jalen Hurts. You're getting a smart quarterback.
That's definitely true.
But like we say, numbers are numbers, stats are stats, and Jalen Hurts has the stats as a runner. He is trying to be that guy, but he has to develop a pass. It's like Lamar Jackson a few years ago. What was his only niche? He can't pass the ball like every other passer can. He comes back, develops a pass, develops a deep ball. Lamar Jackson starts to ball out. Jalen Hurts, it's your third year in the system. Get it right. Because if you don't, then you're on the move for some other quarterback that will get it right. Because that Eagles team was a lot better than we suspected.
Yeah, I agree there. Yep.
And when it comes to teams being better than we suspected, I mean, what better team than the Las Vegas Raiders? I mean, this team was one of the. I'm like, no, there's no way this team is even going to win 9 games. They make it to a playoffs. Playoffs. Like, I sat there. I'm like, dang, Derek Carr. He's good, but he's not elite. He's good, but he's 12 because out of all these quarterbacks, I would take Derek Carr at 12 over Justin Fields, Trey Lance, Kirk Cousins, because he still gets it done. He still throws for 4,000 yards. He still knows how to make those plays. He just doesn't have the receivers or the offense to like be better. He's like capped at a certain level to where like he gets there. Okay, that's it. That's all I can do. That's all you're going to see. So that's why I have him at 12. I'll still draft him as a quarterback in 2022.
Yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
Shoot. As a starting quarterback, yeah. As a backup quarterback.
Especially with McDaniels there, yep.
And I'm a huge McDaniels fan. I watched him in the New England years. I watched him even with Mac Jones. But the one thing I got to worry about Derek Carr is who is that number one? Is Darren Waller? Yes. But if Darren Waller is out, Hunter Renfrow can't be the guy every game. He's a great slot. He's a good small receiver like an Edelman or Welker kind of a guy. But you need that big play kind of a guy. Until they get that, I don't see Derek Carr going higher than Jalen Hurts, Russell Wilson, or Kyler Murray because he doesn't run the ball.
Yeah.
So that's why he's capped.
Separator. Yeah.
Exactly. And it's kind of funny because the next guy on my list is a guy who can run the ball. And under the team regime he had last year, it was like, oh, this guy's going to be a baller. The OSU stud, Darnell Mooney, Allen Robinson, Montgomery, yada, 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 bullcrap. It was the worst. They were probably the worst team to see play only because you didn't know if it was Andy Dalton playing or if it was like Andy Dalton for one drive. And, here's Justin Fields. I think with this new coach, this new like thought process of going into Chicago, you have to unleash Justin Fields. He can sling the rock. He can run the rock. He's basically a mixture, and I'm going to get a lot of hate for this. He's a mixture between what Lamar Jackson is and what Joe Burrow is. He can throw the ball. He can throw it. He can also run the ball. But when you don't have receivers, or like Lamar Jackson has Mark Andrews, Joe Burrow has Higgins and has Chase. Who does Justin Fields have? Darnell Mooney? Goodwin? Goodwin. You got Allen
Marquise,
Robinson.
Yeah.
Like Cole Kmet, a 35-year-old Jimmy Graham.
Yeah.
Like, come on, Tariq Cohen's not there. Like, you got like everyone there that would have been a good pass catcher for him, and it wasn't working. I think going into this season, I think the draft, they have some money. Just get him a guy that you can just throw a ball to and catch, and just Chris Godwin. You get him somebody that's going to go up there, because Allen Robinson either hated the team and just protested playing, or he just really wasn't the guy we thought he was. And if he goes back to Jacksonville and ends up playing with Trevor Lawrence again, it's like a reunion for them. It's kind of going to be like, where was this last year? So
yeah,
Justin Fields, you're not going to go higher until I see what that offensive line, that offense in general does for you, because I saw him and he was always getting hurt. He was always in the rib injuries, the ankle injuries. Soldier Field it's a bad field regardless to play on. We know that. But until they can prove and make drastic changes, I don't see the Chicago Bears or even Justin Fields being a playoff team until they know what direction they're going in. And the direction they're going in is the opposite of what I think the 49ers are going in. I think they lose Jimmy Garoppolo and you put Trey Lance in there, and I don't think you miss a step at all. He is raw. He's still young, but I think watching Jimmy Garoppolo last year, you could have put Trey Lance in for all those games, and I feel like he would have done maybe worse, but still better, if that makes sense.
Do they make the playoffs last year if Trey Lance plays the whole year?
I think so. Only because Jimmy Garoppolo wasn't throwing for like 300 yards and four touchdowns. Jimmy Garoppolo was throwing for like 150 yards, and Deebo Samuel is rushing like a running back that he is. So, like, is it Jimmy Garoppolo's fault, or did Jimmy Garoppolo just maintain the ship to the point where they made it to land and didn't sink the ship? Yep. I think Trey Lance has that talent. He has the arm strength. He has the run ability. But I don't know what they're going to do with him. Like you said, he's basically still a rookie, because he didn't get that like Mac Jones, Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson kind of treatment where like, all right, hey, you're going to play all these games, and now you're either going to suck or you're going to do really well. We saw a small sample size. Like you said in a few games, he had a decent outing. I mean, they had packages for him, but you have to still play Jimmy G out of the respect, contract, yada, yada, yada. But I think going forward, Trey Area is that guy. I think he's going to be the man. He could creep up higher. I think I might one day replace him for like Derek Carr if that team looks good, because they have great offensive weapons and a nice defense. So he's going into a situation where he's winning already.
Agreed.
Now, Kirk Cousins, I don't know what they feel about Kirk Cousins. I mean, it's like, when you have that person where it's like, I like you, I don't love you. Like, you get the job done. You're a good worker. That? Yeah. Like, I'm just like, you're good, but you're not great. You gave Justin Jefferson great seasons. You gave Thielen great seasons, but like, again, Derek Carr, you're like kind of capped. Had great year last year, was QB11 on 2021, 16 games. But he's just not a guy I'm confident in taking my franchise to the next level, because he has a floor. And Kellen Mond has a cannon. Like, I watched him in preseason last year. I watched him in his practices last year when I first got in the set for uSTADIUM. I was like recording some of his stuff, and this guy can sling a rock. Is it too early for him? I think so. If you get one more season at Kirk Cousins, like, what are you going to do? Sign him to another big deal, or do you just let him go and develop your rookie talent? I don't know. That Vikings team is up in the air quarterback-wise, but one team I know is not up in the air quarterback-wise is the New England Patriots. I think Mac Jones he had not mediocre, he had a passive year. Of course, I mean, you're throwing to Kendrick Bourne, Nelson Aguilar, Hunter Henry, Jacoby, one touchdown Myers.
Yeah, like, he's not throwing TDs to Jacoby.
Right.
He's throwing to Jacoby.
Exactly. So, like, I think if the rumors are true and Bill can somehow get him a Calvin Ridley, can get him that guy that is a rock star, get him a guy that is a number one receiver, you'll see Mac Jones flourish.
Yeah.
The Pro Bowl, I mean,
definitely see that. Yep.
Get him a tight end that's not going to be costing so much money, and Geno Smith, and doesn't do anything. I mean, get him a guy who Nelson Aguilar, like I said, these guys are just like tier 3 receivers. I'm sorry. Like, no disrespect, they're NFL players. I'm not in the NFL, so I can't say much. But like, as an analyst that I am, I see these guys. I'm like, these guys are not guys who come out and win you the game. And Mac Jones is capped by that because he probably wants to do better, but he also needs a cannon. He also needs to develop that arm strength because he was good. He was, underneath routes, short routes, the small routes, the safe routes. But you need to just learn how to see, like, look at Joe Burrow in the Super Bowl. When he flung that rock to T. Higgins, that one-on-one, let your receiver go out and make that play. His receiver came out and made that play. I can't tell you a single receiver on that team, the Patriots team, that can go out and do what T. Higgins did, Jamar Chase did, Cooper Kupp did. Because there is no guy like that.
No,
like,
there isn't.
Exactly. Isn't. So you either trade up in the draft, you get someone like a Drake London, you get like a Traylon Burks, you get some 6'3" stud. Develop him. I mean, come on. This Mac Jones is like, give me a quarterback. Let me show you what I could do in Alabama with these ballers that were on his team to what I could do in New England. Bill Belichick's passive, but you know what? He'll get through it. But not like this guy's coach next on my list didn't get through it. They fired him. He's gone. He was grinding his way through the season. He was in clubs in Ohio.
Literally grinding his way.
And Trevor Lawrence, I know he bit his tongue all season. I know that he knew this would be like, I hate to say a wasted season because like you said, the cap salary, the draft picks, it's like you knew, hey, we're not going to be good this year, but you know what? We'll upset a team like the Bills. We'll show you what we have, but we're not there just yet. And I think this year, Trevor Lawrence, get a reunion with Allen Robinson. Get someone for this guy. Get him somebody. Yeah. And if you do, protect him. Make sure you have people that are successful around him because then you'll see what Trevor Lawrence did at Clemson on the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah.
And that the AFC South as it is, it's not wide open, but the door is still open for these other teams. And if Jacksonville is smart enough and they make the correct moves, they do what they're supposed to, you'd be surprised what you'll see out of Jacksonville coming in the next 2-3 years. But speaking of 2-3 years, what happened 3 years ago, 4 years ago, maybe now. Oh, no, actually 5 years ago. And that's Matt Ryan and the 28-3 Falcons. Matt Ryan has been nothing but ice. Matty Ice is probably the perfect name because he's been nothing but cold. He hasn't done anything. He's gotten nothing done. He's like he loses his receiver. Kyle Pitts is he's good, but he wasn't what we wanted him to be, especially with Calvin Ridley gone. You thought, oh my God, nuclear. His guy's gonna go off. He's gonna ball out, and then Cordero Patterson, my boy, comes out of nowhere. It's like, no, I got this. So Matt Ryan, you're good, but like you're like kind of they're just there. Like Frankie said it earlier, we had a call with them. Like the Falcons just sat there after the Super Bowl and just steadily declined. And Matt Ryan wasn't really helping them because you lose Julio, you lose Calvin Ridley. What do you expect Matt Ryan to do? Just be ice cold because he wasn't going to heat it up with any kind of run game, any kind of pass game. So that's why I have him at 18. I kind of want to put him out of this list, but I respect Matt Ryan for what he's done. And I mean, speaking of what you've done, what have they done in the last 3 years besides like just be bad? But you can't get worse than what the Miami Dolphins were. I mean, Miami was good this year. They were 1-7, then ended up 7-7. They were balling. Tua finally got his boy Jalen Waddle involved. He finally learned how to just to do something. Just get your boy. What's the guy who doesn't catch a pass and then catches 2 touchdowns and then goes 5 games without catching? Oh, right, your tight end. Your 6 foot freaking 5 tight end. That should be Mark Andrews. I haven't seen a team that has Waddle, that has all this decent speed, but Tua, it might be the left-handed bias I have against lefty quarterbacks, but I see him. He has the potential, but it's like he doesn't want to be good. He's like, I can be good. All right, show me. All right, here's 1 game. All right, here's 2 games. Oh, those are against the Jets. Well, that's the best you're going to get. And speaking of the Jets, Zach Wilson, he's 22 years old. I mean, that Jets team, I think maybe in 2 years, they'll be a playoff team. Maybe 3 years. They've got the capital. They've got some draft picks. But I think Zach Wilson is kind of that guy. I think this year we can't really you can't get mad at him. What did Peyton Manning do his first year in the league? 20 interceptions.
Still the record.
Zach Wilson didn't throw 20 interceptions.
No.
He was bad, but he learned. He was learning to be a better quarterback. So out of the top 20, I think I'm going to change maybe more of the 10 to 20 rather than the 9 to 1.
Yeah. Yep.
So, like, be surprised if you see Zach Wilson off of it, Matt Ryan or Tua, because these guys are. And Mike White could sneak up there. You never know.
Agreed. It's a great list. A lot of good talking points there. Your reasoning was spot on for most of it, other than the ones that we had different.